It took me a year of sobriety to even accept that I was an alcoholic. Each of my friends sat me down at one point in their life and told me, like, listen, Mahale, you got like very, very drunk last night, and it's politely, I would be like, back the fuck off.
Highly recommended, one of the most famous therapists of Bombay and Bandra. 5 sessions in, I realized that he is sexist.
I even know you're talking about. Okay. This is a very like the conversations that leave you feeling charged and energized. I think this is one of those.
Thank you. It makes me a little bit emotional. So, thank you, Aniruddha. Welcome to the Feel Fuzzy podcast. I am so excited for you to be like our first guest. You're like one of my favorite people on the internet, and I love that you're going to sit down with us.
And I'm very overwhelmed. Okay, whenever people tell me I'm one of the favorite people on the internet, which is like the second time in the world right now. But it fills me up with like a lot of joy. So thank you.
So I'll tell you how this podcast has come to be, right? And like for those who are also seeing us, so around like 7 or 8 years ago, I started curating this list of mental health practitioners. There were so many young adults and adults who like sort of did not have a resource that they could trust and depend on. Like I was myself struggling a lot with my mental health, and I would just publicly share it on social media, and like people would reach out to me in DMs, and it was just like they didn't know where to go. And I said, like, there's no resource like that on the internet, so who's stopping me from making it? Obviously I wasn't like envisioning it to become this or like go viral or like be one of the most used resources in India, but it ended up being that, and we were able to just create that trust. But it could just be like, okay, I'll find a good therapist there. I know they're not going to be a bigot. Like they're going to be queer affirmative. They're going to have a more feminist lens in their therapy. I think at that time started making the list from a point of view that it needs to be more affordable. We, ended up having therapists across all price points. So something as low as like 500 rupees also, like people could take therapy. There were people offering pro bono slots. There were free therapy sessions. There was sliding scale available for students, etc. So it ended up becoming that. And so we are keeping that list. We are kind of evolving it a little bit. It'll be on our platform where people can still find therapists, same ethos, same queer formative therapists, etc. There, we're also doing this podcast series, like you being our first guest, and we're going to bring in other, I feel like, diverse individuals from different backgrounds who can offer us insight into their mental health journey. And we're also going to do like a library of free resources where just like information and content in like consumable form where people can just come and equip themselves. So too much information I've given you. Actually, I wanted to introduce you, like people like know you on the internet already too well. I think we've all followed all of the series that you do, like whether it's your first date series, which are like hilarious by the way, or the fact that you vulnerably talk about all of your mental health struggles, whether it was quitting alcohol or taking up fitness. And obviously you're such an accomplished writer as well. You've written for HarperCollins, you've written for BuzzFeed, First Post, I don't know how many publications, and you're coming up with your third novel very soon as well. I want to give you a chance to do like a little bit of your introduction that other people may not even know about. Just
There's nothing more like anxious than like a question where like people ask you to do your introduction, right? Because you're like, where do I begin? I'd like to believe that I'm a writer. I think like everybody in the world likes to believe they're a writer, but it's a lie that we all tell ourselves. I feel like writing gives me a lot of joy, but it's also extremely exhausting, and it's also extremely mentally draining. What is life if not a series of anxieties persevering? In case somebody asks me, like, gun to my head, how would you introduce yourself? I'd like to say I was an alcoholic who had a drinking problem, and I think the first step is also accepting that you're an alcoholic.
yeah.
I think it took me a year of sobriety. I'm going to reach 2 years in like 2 weeks now. It took me a year of sobriety to even accept that I was an alcoholic. For the first 11 months, I was like, okay, I had a drinking problem, right? Like I could stop whenever I could stop. And like it's not like I needed to drink every day. The definitions of alcoholism is not something that you would read up on like Oxford Dictionary or like Webster or something like that. If you feel like you have a problem with drinking, it means that you also need to identify as an alcoholic. Also, I wanted to kind of go back to what you were talking about, like why you started Ketkazi to begin with. You're talking about creating a list of resources for queer kids, but it wasn't just queer kids, it was just people in general, because I was one of the people
Yeah.
who went through your extremely well researched and detailed like sheet online, because I know that I was rambling with my myriad mental health issues like half a decade ago, and I didn't know where to start. Firstly, like people, like a lot of people, including my very own mother, thinks that mental health is a very like rich person's problem. Lovely lady, okay, love her to death, and she's very accepting of like all my like insecurities and all my incapabilities. But I remember like in 2018 or 2019, I think like once I told her that I was feeling low. I don't know why back then, and I was telling her that maybe I should go see a therapist. And then she's like, "But why?
Yeah.
Why do you need to see a therapist? We are not rich." And I'm like, I wasn't trying to take money from you. I was going to do it for you. You've had like a nice childhood. You've had like a nice life. What is this mental health? Like maybe you need to find a job. Right? That's what she
Of
said.
course. Yeah.
I did find a job because she thought that an empty mind is the devil's workshop, and I did find a job. But still, my problems persisted. And I remember in 2019, I remember feeling very flummoxed by the entire process. Right, like where do you begin? Because back then, I think none of my friends also went and saw a therapist. So it was a very alien space to navigate, right? I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know what to do. Where is there like a helpline? Like how do you find a therapist? I remember coming across your tweet
Yeah.
and your sheet with all these resources, and for somebody who had absolutely no understanding of how it worked and where to look and how to start, I think it was a great stepping stone. I feel like in so many ways I am the person that I am today because I managed to click on that link, right?
Wow.
And so many times it is the first step, right?
Yes.
Accepting that you need help, or like even to call it help. I think calling it help is a little too much, but accepting that you probably need to kind of go see a therapist is the first of many, 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 many steps that you have to take when you're like in your path to self growth and self work and self discovery and a lot of these self words, right? So yeah, so thank you for that.
Thank you. It makes me a little bit emotional. I mean, that was the whole reason for doing it. And over the many years that I've been doing it, I have received hundreds and hundreds of messages, DMs, emails saying, I was able to find a therapist who literally saved my life. Like when you hear like somebody saying that it has been life saving for them, it's a responsibility, and like something like I also needed to sit with and be like, yeah, like I need to continue doing this. Like this is bigger than myself. Like I cannot stop. Like this has to go on. Like now, how do I make it even bigger? So that that has always been the intention. I'm really really glad that you were able to start on your mental health journey, because sometimes like you said, the first thing is just like, do I even need to? Like, I'm okay. Like, you gaslight yourself into thinking I am fine only. I don't need all of this. I'm just being dramatic. That was me when I was like starting therapy. It was just like, and then the therapist would told me, actually, you need medication. Like, you are you are depressed. Like, like just like I don't know. We don't believe ourselves. Like when it comes to mental health, that we should take help. Like, if we like get like 104 fever for 4 days, would we
Yeah,
gaslight ourselves into thinking, no, no, it's fine? Like, no, but we'll go to a doctor and be like, it's been 4 days. I think I need to get a blood test done. Or if I break my foot, it's not like I'll be like, no, it's okay. Let me just, relax in bed for a few days. It'll be fine. No, I need a plaster, right? But like
yeah,
when it comes to mental health, we are all like, do I need to do it? Is it a rich person's problem? Do I just,
yeah,
like even like the Indian parent reaction, because they're obviously not used to like this entire space. Like it's a newer thing that we've started talking about in the last few years. It wasn't a thing. I really wanted to ask you, I think we're already in that zone. When did you even like realize, oh, mental health is a thing? How did then starting therapy sort of made you realize, oh yeah, I needed this, and like that is having an impact on you?
No, I mean, growing up, I was always called a sensitive child, right? Which is basically the first warning sign that you have mental health issues. My feelings have always been extremely on the surface,
Right.
right? So if I feel sad, then you can see it on my face. If I feel happy, you can see it on my face. If I'm angry, you can see it on my face. So a lot of my internalization also doesn't need to happen because like it's very easy to internalize for me. I'm like, ठीक है, थोड़ा सा मैंने think किया and then like I can suddenly realize like what the problem is. Also, I think because of like so much of media that we consume, right? Like growing up, like especially like a lot of these American sitcoms and shows.
Yeah.
There's this whole concept of like a therapist. Those shows help me understand that therapy is not only for people who are depressed,
Right.
right? Like we have these notions that depression needs to look a certain way, anxiety needs to look a certain way. If in case it doesn't like look like the way like we've been
We've
conditioned
seen.
to believe, then it's like okay, then maybe you're just being too like sensitive, maybe
Yeah.
you're being too dramatic, maybe you're being too like too much.
Yeah.
Right, but I have been called too much in life, and a lot of the times I have been called too much in life by myself. That's a bigger problem. When your biggest enemy is yourself, I think it's something that you need to kind of like really look like dig deep and look into. I always knew that some things seemed off, but I just thought that was because it was just the way things were. Then I had a couple of friends who and these are friends who all studied abroad, and then when they came back to India, they had therapist sessions. They carried forward with them,
Yeah.
and I realized that it wasn't. I didn't have to have telltale signs or I didn't have to have symptoms to find out what was wrong with me. I feel like honestly, everybody should go through therapy
Yeah.
irrespective of how you feel or not, right? Like you don't need to feel sad or like anxious or like you don't need to feel angry to kind of go see it. You don't need to have anything that is like conventionally or unconventionally wrong with you to kind of go see it. I feel like every person needs to kind of go for therapy because it really helps you actualize a lot of your problems. And everybody has problems. Like you said, like we go to a doctor, we do like health checkup, we do routine health checkups, right, for the body. I think going to a therapist is just like helping nurture your own mind. Technically speaking, I don't think of therapy as a solution. I think the therapy should be a medium. It's not the end goal. It's a part of the journey. Does that make sense? It sounds very vague now when I said it.
No, it's an interesting point of view because, like, right now, I feel like we're in a space where people who critically need therapy also are afraid of taking therapy because of whatever biases they have, or they're afraid of the stigma. Your POV is actually like a larger lens. You come out and you're like, actually, we can all benefit from therapy, right? Sometimes a lot of the things in our minds, we need an unbiased opinion from a professional who can just unravel these threads. Okay, yeah, something you should be concerned about, let's tackle it this way. And then some of the times you're just like, oh god, like this like helps me come out of my mind and realize I am upset for no reason, stressed for no reason, anxious for no reason. It's really helpful in my own experience. But a lot of people who are actually really really struggling with their mental health, not just like with everyday anxiety or like life stresses, but like they might have autism or they might have ADHD, or any of those things. Even like convincing people who critically need therapy to like just take that first step is such an important thing. And like I want more people to just get comfortable talking about this, right? Because the more we talk about it, the less. There's a word in Hindi called hawa, like you make it a big deal, but it's not a big deal. Like, yeah, okay, I am mentally struggling, let's go to a therapist and let's see where it takes me. Talking about that, I know there's certain things that you have also struggled with. One of the things that you have really really talked about even on your socials have been substance being like something that get either addicted to, or something has a bigger hold on you, like whether it's smoking or drinking or food or anything of that sort. Like how has your relationship like that been with that, and like what kind of made you realize, oh, I need to take a step back and look at it?
I think I've always had an addictive personality.
Yeah.
Okay, like with everything, I've had this sense of extreme. Right from like growing up, like like I would see like chocolates and then I would like go eat them. Like people had to like stare, right? Like this child has a problem, and I have consumed. Okay, like up until like a decade ago, I have consumed. Have you seen those Kit Kat chunky bars?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
So at one time I sat and ate 11 of them. 11. ओके ऐसे ही बिकॉज मुझे खाना था एंड आई रियलाइज दैट इज अ पर्सनल trait that I've carried forward in life with everything, right? Apart from like work. In case I get like feel extremely passionate about it, I really go for it. So like it started with like sweets and junk food as a child. Then like it went on like as I grew up it like became like alcohol. Now like it's fitness. Right? I have a very go hard or go home kind of situation with everything. But like there's no going home. Right? I will go so hard that I will have to be carried home. Like I initially thought that it was just a thing. Right? Like I was like maybe I need like I have moderation issues, but like I do have moderation issues, but I'm sure that there's like a lot to unpack there. My story is also very cookie cutter. I've always had a problem with alcohol, and I've started like I started drinking when I was like what 17, 18, which is what 18 years ago. So I started drinking from like 2007, 2008, and from 2010 was when I had my first blackout.
Oh yeah.
Right, and so like first blackout means like massive. Like people have spoken about it till like yesterday. It was difficult, and then it would happen very regularly. Like I would say that like, "Okay, I can control my alcohol," and then I would get very drunk very fast, and then like be the drunkest person in the room, which means that I've ended up doing a lot of things that I possibly regret now in life. I have gotten drunk at like work things. I've gotten drunk at like people's birthdays and people's weddings and people's baby showers and housewarmings. And one time I got drunk at like somebody's like parents like 50th anniversary and like made a scene, and it was just like thinking about it gives me like a lot of like pain right now. And but we always thought that okay, like maybe I'm just a brat. Like as boys, I think this whole like oh maybe I'm just a brat like it's the easiest way out. Like okay, lols, ho gaya.
Hmm.
You know. So it's been a consistent problem. But I've never like thought about it too much because I was like, okay, ho gaya, yaar. Like it's not like I'm not drinking every day. Like I possibly like drink like twice a week or something like that. Right?
Right.
It's fine. It's not like I'm not
I
like
don't have a
murdered
problem.
somebody or
Hmm.
yeah, I don't have a problem. I'm not like like accidentally driven in my car into somebody or like gotten jailed or like like done
Yeah.
something to somebody or like had somebody mug me or like kill me or like murder me or anything. Like everybody does this, right? Like everybody like this is my 20s, like I need to kind of live it. And then COVID happened. Suddenly we were home all the time. Up until like 2022, I have told people that I had taken the extremely like privileged thing to say. Now when I think back, I'm like, what are these kind of stupid things I was saying? I remember telling somebody that the pandemic was good for me because it's home all the time, and then like I did like a lot of like work then. So it was fun. Like this
Yeah.
lockdown life is very chill. I didn't realize how unchill it was up until now because I think I was like at home and I was working and everything was going great. Then earlier I would just get a drink at night. Right, I would like get a gin and tonic because we had a lot of alcohol at home. So I would get a drink at home. That became two drinks a night. And sometimes I would start drinking in the afternoon. I remember I used to work at this, I don't work there anymore, so I can talk about it. So I used to work at this American startup, which means that I was working with like an American team. At one point, this is during Delta. I would have my handoff call at 6:30 in the morning because white people
Right.
will only think
Right.
about themselves. So I would have my handoff call at 6:30 in the morning, which means I would wake up at like 6:15.
Hmm.
Okay, and then like quickly brush my teeth and wash my face and look like I'm not just woken up. Sit in front of my laptop and then do like a quick half an hour call. Then I would like sleep again and then like start resume working at around 10:30. So I wake up at 6:15 and this girl, this very nice girl that I work with, has messaged me on Slack saying, "Hey, listen, I'm very sick. I'm so sorry. I'm messaging you so late." She messaged me like like good like 5-6 hours ago. Like, can we do the handoff call tomorrow? We can cancel today's call if in case you see this
Right.
earlier.
Right.
So I woken up now and I'm like, "Shit, अभी क्या करूँ? अभी तो मैं तो उठ भी गया, brush भी कर लिया मैंने. I had already like logged in, right? So now I'm awake. So I was like, ठीक है, I'll go get a coffee. And now I had a ritual in the morning where I would like get a coffee in the morning, get a cigarette, and I would like stand in my like little balcony there and smoke and drink my coffee and like just be at peace with the world.
Right.
And now, like, I've suddenly woken up and she's the only person I work with in the team. So, in case she's not free, which means that I get the day off, I don't have anything to do because I will only hand off my work to her tomorrow. So, there's nothing new for me to do. So, I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, it's the middle of the week, it's a Wednesday. Like,
My
there's so much
Oscar,
of
I have the day
optimism,
free.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the day free. What do we do? What do we do? And now I have a little like bar cabinet near my balcony, which there was an old monk
Oh.
bottle. Okay, now I have a black coffee in my hand. I was like, I made like I put a little bit of old monk in my coffee.
Six
Around six
thirty a.m.
forty-five,
Oh.
6:30 a.m. Let me tell you, it's the most delicious thing in the world, right? Because you're like, look at this. I have now invented Irish coffee. I never need to go to a cocktail bar again because I can make cocktails at home. So I drank it, okay, and I was like very proud of myself. I was very happy. I had another one because I was like, आज तो छुट्टी है, right? So I had another one. Then like that was it. Then like I did my drinking later in the evening only. Okay, I was like, very well behaved. Next day, I did my college from 6:30 to 7, and I went to go get my coffee. And I was like, should I put some more rum in this? And I did put some more rum in it.
Oh,
And I did that for 3 days in a row. It's not like like getting drunk at work, but that was a telltale sign, right? And it only took me a year and a half after that to realize that I had a problem. Right?
oh
Because
wow.
been like multiple other like incidents, multiple times where I've been a jerk or douchebag, an asshole, to many friends, many family members, uh, to realize that maybe I needed to kind of take it low. Because it took me so long to realize that maybe I had a problem, I also did not decide to go cold turkey sober. So I think like sometime in December of 2022, I was like, maybe I need to take a break. All of my friends, okay, each and every one of my friends. I'm not only talking about like first tier friends, okay, even tier two friends.
Yeah.
Each of my friends sat me down at one point in their life and told me like, listen, Mahale, you got like very drunk last night and it's all fine, but is everything okay? And I've always told people like, yeah, everything is okay. Like, maybe I can't like, maybe I don't know how to hold my alcohol. Like, I'm very glad that you're having this conversation with me. It means the world to me that you care. But like, politely, I would be like, back the fuck off, right? I'm sorry, pardon my French.
No, because
Um,
you get defensive, right? Like, what do you want?
yeah,
I'm an
right.
alcoholic. I
Yeah,
just had a couple of extra drinks. It's fine.
I just had a couple of extra
Yeah.
drinks. It's fine. It's complete. Like the world is going to be okay. In December 2022, I was like, okay, like, this has been very recurring. Now every friend has given me an intervention at some point in their life. My sister has given me six of these. My mother gives me an intervention every day. So I should probably take some time off. I've done this in the past where I've gone off like to prove to people that I don't have a
I'm
problem.
fine. Yeah.
I've gone off alcohol.
Yeah.
I've gone off alcohol for 3 months, 4 months, like 100 days, 150 days. Like I can live without it. Like, very aram se. It's not like I like. People talk about like how when they quit drinking, there's that like they feel very anxious about like the fact that they're not drinking. None of that happens. The moment I leave it, I'm very well behaved. When I start again, I start back with a vengeance. It's not like 3 or 4 months of like sobriety that gives me any kind of lesson. Like,
Right.
okay, I can do it, which means I can like handle my alcohol, but then
I choose not to. So
yeah,
it's almost like,
I
yeah, it's
choose not
fine. I
to.
proved it.
Yeah, so this time I was like, okay, cool. Let's make it more tough. Let's do a whole year of it. And I did not want to start on the first of January because, like, this sudden like New Year resolution puts a lot of pressure on. You can't change your life in like on that one day. There's no reset button. I will give myself some time to come to terms with the fact that I'm going to give off alcohol for a year. So let me start like from 6 weeks from now. I think mid-December I decided, okay, first Feb से मैं चालू करूँगा. तब तक I will drink. I will drink responsibly. I need some time to kind of come to terms with the fact that I will not drink for a year. And I started that after the first Feb, 31st December, 31st Jan, I remember going to like four of my favorite bars in Bombay and getting a Long Island iced tea at each of them. Drink of my choice is also a Long Island iced tea. So you can tell. Like these like simple drinks don't do it for me. Wouldn't do it for me. I went, then I came home and I like had finished half a bottle of gin. Okay, I had like half a bottle. I was like, आज तो finish करना पड़ेगा. And at 11:54 is when I make my last drink, and I'm like 6 minutes I have to finish this. And after 12 o'clock, I will not drink anymore. Right? So I finished that last double measure of gin. And from 11:54 to 11:59, in 5 minutes, I have chugged it. And I'm like, okay. Now the next time I drink will be on the 1st of Feb of 2024.
Right.
I started my sobriety journey, right? It was supposed to be a year, and it's the 12th of January of 2025, and I've still not had to drink. So
Wow.
I'm guessing somewhere down the line, I was born again. Somewhere down the line, I realized, like I think like at around this time last year is when I also accepted that I was an addict. That was that turning point where I was like, maybe I can extend this for as long as I want. So I've not decided to kind of go cold turkey sober for the rest of my life. Now I've decided if I want to drink again, I will drink again. But I've not felt the need to till now. So I'm going to continue with this for
For
as
as
long
long
as I
as you
can.
want to.
Now I don't look at the number. Now I don't look at the TK 645 or 725 days. sober or 800 days sober. Like I was really like excited about that in the beginning. But now I'm like, okay, this will go on for as long as I can. I have gone through major like all of like my social triggers. Okay, I've gone to weddings, I've gone to parties, I've gone to like single like mixers, I've gone to first dates. I've gone to dates, I've gone to second dates. I've gone to everything that would make me anxious and not had a drink. I've gone to an open bar event multiple times. Gone up to the barman and said, please, sir, can you just give me tonic water? And he'd be like, with gin? And I'd be like, no, not with gin. just, just tonic water. I think I can do it now.
Really, really something to be proud of. And I feel like at some point it became more than about proving to others, like, look, I don't have a problem. Having that whole self realization journey and then just doing it for yourself. I think which is the reason you've been able to do it for 2 years, is because you were now doing it only for yourself, not to prove a point.
No, also because I've always had this problem with moderation, right? So
Right.
I also like I completely forgot to tell you. I realized that like I need to fill this alcohol shaped void in my life with something else. But I need something else to keep my mind. And I during COVID, like because I was drinking so much and eating like some like five people's worth of food. Because I would drink and then I'd get very hungry. And I would order like some 800 rupees worth of food from Domino's. Now Domino's may you get pizza for like 59 rupees. So you can imagine what 800 rupees worth of food is. And I would consume it all in one sitting. Okay, it's remarkable. Like they would call it their party pack, and I would eat like five people's worth of food by
Right.
myself. So I gained 34 kgs between 2020 and 2021. By the time I started going super, I lost a couple, like I lost some of the weight. But I was like, okay, now I have nothing else to do because now I'm not drinking, so I have a lot of free time because I'm not going out now. So I started working out. I started going to the gym. I signed up for like a fitness coach. Fitness coach was also like a nutritionist, was also
Right.
like a dietitian. So did this whole like like it was like a boot camp. It was a 6 month boot camp. I was like, ठीक है अभी कुछ करने के लिए है नहीं. So let's do
Let
this,
me try this. Yeah.
right? And I really made it my life. Okay, like I became like a gym bro. And I think once you start understanding what exercise and fitness and diet and like water can do to your body, there's no going back. Okay, then I became really fit. And then, like, once I became really fit, I was like, oh shit, what have I been putting in my body all this while? To the point that I was a chain smoker. I was just smoke, what, like 20 cigarettes a day. I quit smoking about a year and a half ago. And I never thought I'd be able to quit smoking because I've tried quitting
So
smoking
from
multiple times in the
so
past.
from drinking, smoking, and having like an unhealthy relationship with food, you have now
Hmm.
done a 360 where you've quit smoking, quit drinking, and now you're
Yeah.
eating healthy and going to the gym. So
Yeah.
it's
Also, I have body dysmorphia. So,
yes, I
yeah.
wanted to come to that, but like my next question was that like after doing all of this, do you think your relationship with like food or your body or like whatever alcohol or whatever, has it changed? Has it become healthier? Like mentally, like where you at with it?
See, alcohol, though, I don't know. Also, I think one of the reasons why I'm not drinking is because I'm still scared,
Right.
right? Like, people, everybody seems to think that I've weaned myself off of the drink. But I'm still slightly like nervous about it. I'm like, ठीक है, like 2 साल हो गए, but like, what if I like revert back to, factory settings? The moment I get one thing, what if I revert back to that life again? I might have gone sober, but that doesn't mean that my personality has changed. I'm still inherently the same person that I've always been. With cigarettes, I thought that I would like jump back to smoking again, but I've not. I've felt the craving on multiple occasions, but I've still not done anything about it. Now it's a good like year and a half, which is the longest I've gone without a cigarette ever since I started smoking when I was 24. With food, I still do have some problem with like understanding portion. On cheat days, I'm like I will cheat the world today. Right? Then I eat like a scary person. But then I also I still have like an unhealthy relationship with moderation. But I think I'm like it's a work in progress.
It's a
I
work
don't
in
think
progress.
for.
It's always
Yeah.
a work in progress. Like, oh, I was abusing alcohol one day and now I'm sober, so I'm fine now. It's always like you're always in recovery or you're always like working on yourself to not become that person again. It's not like you suddenly fixed overnight. And that's, I think, the same for whether it's smoking, whether it's eating, or, whatever unhealthy relationship there is with certain things. Like, I relate because I also had a similar experience during COVID when food became my coping mechanism because I was alone in Bombay. My family was in Delhi, and I was like stuck in a Bombay house, which is like what 500 square feet, 700 square feet. You like nothing to do. Like you can't walk down, you can't do anything, and like your dopamine is coming from making like mango ice cream with full fat cream. So like that's
God,
what
my
I was
God, I
doing,
feel it.
and I
Blast from
gained
the
so much
past
weight.
happened. Hmm.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you're talking about all of this. I think it's going to be so impactful for people listening, including me, because I also realize that there's certain things that I don't need to fix physically. Like, yeah, I can just go in a calorie deficit and lose weight, but like mentally, because I'll revert back to that unhealthy relationship with food that started during COVID time. Like, I need to do this through therapy and like,
Also, eating our feelings is so simple, no? The easiest way to kind of deal with like a lot of things. Like, but the number of times you
yeah,
keep on opening your fridge, it's ridiculous, right? Like every time I'm bored, I'm opening my fridge. Every time I'm like anxious, I open my fridge. Every time I'm like, ठीक है, अभी कुछ नहीं करना है. Like every time I'm taking a break, I open my fridge. Also, like, why demonize food? Like, why do we have to demonize food to kind of make it the enemy? Food is not the enemy. Like,
right.
food is never the enemy, right? Like, even this idea of like us eating our feelings, I'm sorry for saying it, is not something that you should feel ashamed of or like angry about or like, or it shouldn't make you feel like upset.
We look at food as like good food and bad food, but like all food is food, right? Because how the world and the society is made in a way where it's like bad food, good food, it really ruins our relationship with it.
Cheat day. Why is it called cheat day? Like, you want to have that burger, have that
Like,
burger.
why is it a
Like,
treat?
why do you feel
Like,
about it?
why is
Yeah.
it a treat? Like, I felt like having something sweet. Why is it a treat or I deserve it? It took me becoming a fat person to realize how much we demonize fat people. Like, because my journey to becoming fat was actually mostly mental. They don't control themselves, or they don't exercise, or they're just eating unhealthy. No, it's like it's genuinely a mental game, and we really need to have so much more compassion and empathy. The only way we heal our relationship with food is if we are allowed to to do that. Like, we given a safe space versus just like constantly being made to feel guilty and like bad. I realized when I was a thin person and when I was a fat person, and how people talk to me, or like how they look at me and they're like, oh, she's just like no control in life or whatever. But I know like why, like what it took for me to get here. And yeah,
So
that
also a
is,
gay man. Okay, I'm a gay man. So technically speaking, like nobody understands like body shaming than like in the average
of
gay man.
course,
You think that straight men are toxic, but hi, have you met a gay man? It
it is
just
so
gets
much
worse.
more yeah,
Yeah.
like exactly, like it's so much more common within like gay men community, like that you need to have like a six-pack ab, like so much pressure on like gay men to look a certain way and like be like at the top of their physical game at all times. Like, how have
I
you
think
felt
everybody's
that
just
in the
shallow.
in the community?
I think it's just a lot of like everybody's shallow.
Yeah, okay.
And I think like also like all men are terrible, right? Like, I'm also terrible. I'm not saying that I'm some Dudka Tulawa, like sitting on some moral high chair, like, oh, look at me, like this vision of like like perfection and like vision of niceness and not a sliver of like negativity in my body. I'm also extremely shallow. I'm very obnoxious. I'm a terrible human being. For a long time, I was using the alcohol as a defense mechanism. Right? I was like, oh, the alcohol makes me a shit person. The alcohol makes me a terrible person. The alcohol makes me a little gossiping bitch. But I'm still all those people even without the alcohol.
So it was like, oh, it was me all along.
It was me. It was me. But I think because men are terrible in general, and because I'm a man who is unfortunately also both romantically and sexually attracted to other men, I have now decided that it is a part of life. And instead of trying to kind of salvage the problem, I need to work my way around it. I can't do other people's work for me,
Right.
right? I can inherently stop being meaner to myself first before I stop being mean to other people. But I have very, very slowly, very glacially started making progress. I used to be very self-deprecating up until even like as close to like October and November of last year. But now I've decided that no, like you've seen Hannah Gadsby's Nanette, right? And she's like, self-deprecation is just it's exhausting. Why? So now, very, very, very recently started not saying negative things about myself. And it's tiny things, right? Like, I'm not saying that I'm the best person. I'm not saying that I'm like gorgeous. And I'm not saying that like, oh, look at me. I'm the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. I'm the smartest person you'll ever see. I'm the most eloquent writer that you'll ever like read. None of those things. But I have now stopped saying mean things about myself, and I think that is that like first like little baby step that people can take is to just start being kinder to themselves. And I think that's half the battle won.
Wow. Such a small thing, right? In theory to talk about, like, oh, just be nice to yourself. But
Yeah,
when
it's
you
not
like
very
do it,
difficult. It's not very easy. It's not
it's
very
not
easy.
easy, right?
Yeah.
But that has been a game changer for you. Like,
It took me 15 months to stop being hard on myself. I'm not even saying that I used to like I was no drill sergeant, okay, but even like simple things and stop being hard on myself. Right? Like if something's not working out earlier, I'd be like, oh, you deserve this, you're the worst, you're so shitty, so lazy, so
my fault.
like what
I need to
yeah,
do
it's my fault.
better.
Yeah, there's also like the self victimization is very tried and tested. No, you wallow around in self pity. You like, oh my god, look at me, I'm the like, oh, I'm such a poor little boy, and then you feel nice about the fact that you're a victim, like you're the victim, and then you're like, okay, chalo, now like I deserve like nice things, and then it's a cycle. Then it's a loop that you like enter again. Now I've stopped doing that. If I'm dealing with a roadblock or like there's some sort of like a little speed bump along the way, I'm like, okay, this is happens to the best of us. I just need to kind of like take it one day at a time. Also, like when I'm in like group settings, like I don't like make jokes at my own expense. Like, okay, like it would get like a couple of people to laugh, but I'm like, is it really worth it? Like, making fun of myself, is it really worth it? It took me a lot of time, but I think everybody can get there. You have to constantly keep on reminding yourself not to do it.
Again, it's not a switch that you can just turn on. It's just like every day you have to choose and try to be nicer to yourself. Earlier we were talking about queer community, etc., etc. Obviously your experience as a gay man would be different to, let's say, a gay woman or a bi person. Your journey into realizing that you're not straight, like, realization is a hard realization to come to, not necessarily because of, let's say, your own biases or whatever, but because of the way the world operates, and we are unfortunately in a world where there's so many homophobic people, hateful people, etc. And then also, like, the whole conversation, oh, I need to now tell my friends and family, what is that going to be like? You've been fortunate enough to have a wonderfully supportive family. A lot of people don't. And like, so, like, how has that been for you?
Listen, my queer identity has been very easy. Okay, like I'll tell you, it feels like I'm going to be boastful, but like it is true. I've I came out to the first time I came out to somebody was in 2009, and the last time I came out to somebody was like 2 weeks ago with some work colleague. Okay, like I was, they were like, oh, like what about your girlfriend? I was like, I don't have a girlfriend. They're like, oh, right, you're so like nice and cute, and it's a woman. So it was very easy to come out to her. I was like, oh, I'm gay. So it's just simple things like that. But like in the 17, 18 years that I've been out, I've never faced homophobia.
Wow.
Okay, like not even online. Like like I have put up some of the most gayest shit online. Okay, not once has anybody called me anything like no meetha, no good, no like faggot, no nothing. I've come from a bubble, no.
Right.
I'm come from a certain like financial background, social background,
Right.
cultural background. Like I live in a very like bubble wrapped world. I'm not the only one. I'm sure there are like hundreds of men like me, men only I will say, because who will tell you something like very like oh like being queer in India is so easy, right? Like it's never been difficult for us. Like at one point, I remember somebody told me that like life has not changed after Section 377. Like I'm still living the same life that I was
Wow.
living before. So I don't know. Okay, fine, it was me. I said it, right? But that's also because upper class gay men are like the straight white man of the queer pyramid. I'm not saying that just because never had to deal with any kind of homophobia or any kind of like bigotry towards my queer identity doesn't mean that my life is simple. Like my queer struggle is still as valid. I might not have had trouble like with acceptance, but I had a lot of trouble growing up, right? Because I would constantly be like bullied and things like that.
Right.
Like, as most children are. It took me 3 years to come out to myself,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Maybe 3 years. 3 years. Okay, three
Wow.
years when I thought such a phase. I was that mother who said things like this is just a phase. Maybe it's all in my head. So it was very tough. And I can imagine if in case it is very tough for somebody like me who's had the most privileged life in the world, I can't even begin to comprehend what it is for somebody who identifies beyond the norm, right? Like for somebody who's NB or somebody who's trans,
Yeah,
because it's a difficult life.
it
And like
is.
who's lived in this air castle with like manicured gardens, if I thought it was still tough, then I can't even comprehend how difficult it is for the rest of the world.
Which is why like having a community is so important, right? For you, your sister, your mom, like they have been such an integral support system for you. Like I keep reading about it, etc., etc. You have like a wonderful family that I'm sure has had a really positive impact on your mental health in terms of like your queer identity, because there was unconditional love and acceptance, and if like your closest people to you give you that, you're like, I can handle anything, right? For a lot of people, that is critically missing. Like they have had to leave their families, their homes, and they have not found acceptance within their immediate family or community, which is why a found community, or like a queer community in general, whether it's on the internet or you end up making friends or even taking therapy where the person is queer affirmative, like all of those kinds of things become so important for a person to just have a thriving life. You explore that in your writing as well, right? Whether it's writing for publications or even like your own books, and you're working on your third one as well. And you wrote like Get Out, which was, like a gay dating guide. And like, how is writing sort of, helped you in that journey, or like, how is like that for you?
I think writing is a lot about like finding and like telling your truth.
Right.
Right? Writing like, is all about like speaking your truth, right? Which is also also like exhausting. Like writing is emotionally and physically draining because truth telling is not supposed to be easy, but it's also so liberating. It pains me that I'm a writer, but I can't think of being anything else.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like it's something I dread, right? Like opening your laptop and like typing is something I still dread. Like every day when I open my laptop, I'm like, okay, I have to write. I get very, very scared of it. But I can't have it any other way. If you can't speak your truth, nobody else is going to speak it for you. And I feel like that gets me to write. It's not about then being vulnerable, it's just about speaking what you know. And then if you're speaking from your lived experiences, if you're speaking from your mind, if you're speaking and writing from within, then every bit of writing and every bit of like even like as like simple as like a caption or an Instagram story becomes like a facet of vulnerability because you are ultimately writing what you know, which is your truth. I think that's been really helpful. Like writing is just like 24/7 journaling. Like some people journal in diaries. I choose to journal in a more public setting.
Yeah.
Also because it also makes me accountable, right? Like when you're sharing your truth with other people, then they're like, okay, Tika, but you said that you don't drink. You too said you don't smoke, so then why are you getting a drink today? Not that I've done it, but eventually if I do, and one of the reasons why I don't do it online was because I didn't want to falter, right? Like after I quit drinking, if 4 months down the line, I'm like, okay, ek to chal jata hai, nobody will know. But I would go and drink, somebody would be like, listen, but didn't you say that you went sober? So
Mm.
that's been very helpful for me, right? Like you need to find like an accountability ally,
Accountability. Yeah.
right? Like an accountability partner. Like,
I remember when you had initially quit smoking, I remember like the first few weeks or a couple of months that I would just keep sending you texts. Hey, you're doing great, you can do this, and like, you'll be fine. It's just.
hey, but like, Mahima, you have no idea because like, God does not really make you do it because there were times when I wanted to get a smoke, but I'm like, listen, like Mahima has told me she's very proud of me, so I should not get a cigarette. I know this sounds like a joke, and like, I'm not making this up, but it's true. You and like some like 2 3 other people were like, listen, like I'm like you can do this. We're counting on you, and like random strangers on the internet tell you that they believe in you, then you don't want to prove them wrong. You are very instrumental in not getting me to get back to cigarettes.
That is amazing to
I know
hear.
it sounds like I'm saying it because I'm on your podcast, but it's very true.
I know we've talked about on our Instagram DMs for years, like even beyond this.
Put
And
a screenshot here with like timestamps so that people also know.
I'll put
Right?
it over here. I'll put it over here.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful thought, that when you feel like somebody is proud of you putting in some effort into improving your yourself or taking care of yourself, and you just feel like, yeah, you know, they're proud of me. Yeah, that motivates me to like keep on track and like and just being on that journey. So that's a beautiful thought that all of us can learn from. Like I for sure would take a lesson from here in encouraging more people. Like I already like doing that. I get like a lot of joy being able to even a little bit like have some kind of positive impact. But like now I'm convinced like I need to do it a lot more. So I am going to make it a practice in my life to encourage more and more people offline, online, wherever they're trying to do something to, you know, improve their lives in some way. I'm just so glad that you've taken so much more ownership of your life. It takes a lot of self realization. Like, you need to sit down with yourself and have those really hard conversations saying, hey, it's not them telling me. Look, let's be real. It is something that I need to do. Like, you know, like when you talk to yourself, it's a harder conversation than your best friend or your mom or your sister or your cousin telling you, bro, what are you doing in life? I wanted to ask you, you've been taking therapy for quite a while now, right?
On and off from 2019 to 2023. Like it was like a very like
A longish period. And like, do you think that there's anything you've taken away from therapy that this was like something really great for me and this is really helpful and continues to be helpful, whether it's a lesson or a tip or a trick or whatever it is?
people need to look at therapy as not as the solution. It's not going to like end all your problems. It's going to help you identify them. That work needs to be done by only one person, you. And I think therapy helps you understand that. Right? Like I also went into assuming that okay, now when I'm seeing a therapist, everything will go away. I'll be like confident, top person who never feels sad, who's never angry, who's never upset. Yay! It wasn't.
So I think that lesson for you.
It was that lesson where I was like, the work has to be done. It's called self work for a reason. You have to. Doing self work is also very difficult. Therapies help you understand how to do it and what are the ways to do it, and you know, like how to do it in a way that it's not creating any kind of negative impact. You can't treat every therapist alike. Right? You need to find somebody that resonates with you. You don't need somebody who agrees with everything you say. At the same time, you don't need somebody who kind of like tries to question or challenge everything you say. You need to find somebody who understands your problems and doesn't look at them with like any sort of bias. I've never had the problem, even though I've gone to three different people. My therapists have been like very nice people, but I've known people whose therapists have given them very skewed advice. They're not supposed to tell you what to do. They're supposed to help you decide what you want to do yourself. You know, no therapist is going to tell you this is right, this is wrong. If you go and tell them that like, oh, I cheated on my partner, they will not tell you, oh, like, you know, that's a terrible thing you did, or no, it's okay, like, you know, don't do it next time. They will not tell you things like that. But they will help you understand where the problems were coming from or where the problems are. Not that I cheated on your partner, I don't have a partner. I think you need to find a therapist who works for you. It's not like the most expensive therapist is going to be the nicest one, or
Yeah.
the therapist with the nicest couch is going to be the most, you know, the therapist who is like queer affirmative themselves is going to be like the nicest one.
Yeah, that's actually a really important point. Like, if your therapist is not working out for you, change your therapist.
Change
No,
a
like, there is
therapist.
no shame in realizing, oh, this therapist is probably not the best fit for me. Let's change my therapist.
Even though they might have worked for other people,
Yeah,
you know, even though
yeah.
best reviews online, but if they don't work for you, they don't work. You can't make them work.
When I had moved to Bombay in 2015, I was struggling a lot with my mental health and depression and anxiety and all of those things. And one of the people highly recommended a therapist to me. This was even before the list, before anything. Like I told you, even I was struggling with my mental health during that time. Highly recommended one of the most famous therapists of Bombay and Bandra. Charges a bomb. I was like barely earning enough to sustain myself and pay my rent, and I chose to pay that amount because I was just like, I need to do something. I'm in a very bad space. 5 sessions in, I realized that he is sexist, and the reason why my friend highly recommended him was because he was a man.
I even know who you're talking about. Okay, you said like these three identifiers, and I could tell you.
He was a man. It was working out great for him. I think he continued to take therapy from him for the next 5 years. And I was like, 5 sessions in, I was like, I can't. I have to change my therapist. And I then ended up going to somebody else. They worked out really well for me. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, we need to encourage people to change their therapist. if it don't work out for them, usually a therapy session lasts like a 50-60 minutes. So we're doing like this chemistry sessions at like half the price, where you can just meet different therapists for like 20-30 minutes and just like get a vibe checked. And then if it doesn't work out, you're like, let me see if I should talk to another therapist and see if they are a better fit for me. Because I, in those last few years, I've received so many emails from people saying, how do I know which therapist to choose? So there's no way of knowing. You have to talk to people. Sometimes it's your first therapist and you get it bang right. Sometimes it's your second or third or fourth. It's a process. I was thinking, and since you're our first guest, I don't know how this is gonna go. I was thinking of doing like this small section at the end of the podcast where have you seen that trend? We listen and we don't judge.
I feel like I have, but I don't know. Can you give me like an example? I feel like I've seen.
Like you can tell us embarrassing or secret or just any moments that you feel like will be judged, but I will not judge them and we will not judge them.
There's so many though. I don't even know where to
Okay,
first
wait,
begin.
no, let's do this. So you say we listen and we don't judge. Say it with me. We listen
We listen,
and we don't
we don't.
judge.
I used to drink from my dad's liquor cabinet and then replace it with alcohol. And I did this well in my 30s as well. So during
Wow.
COVID, okay.
We
We
listen
and
and
we
we
don't judge.
don't judge. So I have ADHD, right? It's embarrassing to admit, but like sometimes, like it'll take me 5 days to send one email, which I know will take me 2 minutes to do. But like I can't get myself to sit down on the laptop and send it. We
Listen
listen
and we
and we
don't
don't judge.
judge. Listen, speaking of emails, there have been times when I've told friends that I'm very busy and I can't meet them, and it's only because I have to send out two work emails in a day. Okay, instead of the requisite one. So when I have to send two work emails, I'm like, आज तो बहुत काम कर दिया मैंने, अब तो नहीं होगा मुझसे. I don't have time and bandwidth and mental space to meet anybody. So I've gotten out of like a lot of social plans by telling people I have a very busy or like a work deadline, but I don't have a work deadline. I just don't want to see you or I don't want to meet you.
Wow. We listen and we don't judge. So I recently quit alcohol as well, like a year or so.
Yay!
Thank you.
Congratulations! I'm so
Thank you.
proud of you.
And
You can
people
do this.
just don't take no for an answer. Like they force you to drink with them. So on multiple occasions, I have taken the shot glass, filled it with water, and had so many shots with my colleagues and friends and family, telling them it's just tequila or vodka, and they all think I'm like 3 shots down, but it's water.
We listen and we don't judge because I'm going to one up you on that. Okay, like I remember in the beginning when I had also quit drinking, people were like, "Oh, all you can one drink, you can do what is this? I'll make sure you don't drink." So then, on multiple occasions, I lied. I said, "Listen, I went to a doctor, and the doctor said my liver is fucked. If in case I drink anymore, I
Oh
will
wow!
die."
Sometimes that's all it works.
I made them feel guilty for asking me to drink. I was like, "Okay, I will feel guilty. I will make you feel worse."
It's good. Like we should make people feel bad about forcing anyone to do something that they don't want to do, including social drinking. Like if I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it.
Consent isn't just like sexual, right? Consent is like across borders and across like boundaries. And I think people need to like start like understanding and like taking no for an answer, which a lot of people don't get.
If you're seeing this and you're one of those people who like will make their friends or family or colleagues or partner or whatever like drink with them, even if they're telling you they don't want to drink, don't be that person. Yeah, that brings us to the end of the podcast.
Oh wow, this was wow. What is that? Oh shit, we've been at this for a really long time. Listen, we started at 1:50, 3:15 now. We've been at this for an hour and a half. I didn't feel like it
I'm
was like a
telling
90
you,
minute
we
chat.
are
I thought I
meant to
was
be
just
best
talking to you.
friends. Anirudh, I am telling you.
We should be best friends.
So
Let's
it
do like
was
a coffee talk.
really good to have you. I'm so glad that you were our first guest on this podcast series, and I think it's going to be really helpful and amazing for people who are watching it, being able to relate or being able to take something away from it that helps them on their mental health journey. And if you're watching this and you're struggling with your mental health, even if you don't want to start therapy yet, it's fine. Like just bring yourself in a moment where you allow yourself to just feel all your feelings, and it's okay even if it takes you time to start therapy, but just be kinder to yourself, and if you need help, there is no shame in taking help. I am there for you. The community that we're building on Feel Fuzzy is there for you, whether you want to find a therapist, whether it's listening to a podcast or accessing free resources that we will have on our website. And we are also hoping to bring out pro bono sessions for those who cannot afford therapy. So stay with us, and I really hope that you start on your mental health well-being journey. Anything, Anirudh, that you would like to add as closing remarks?
You filled me with a lot of joy today. Thank you. Like I don't know what else to say. You. This is a very like like conversations that leave you feeling charged and energized. I think this is one of those. So thank you for that, and thank you for being such a lovely host. Like like I could like share like a lot of my like problems and a lot of my insecurities and a lot of my vulnerabilities, for lack of a better word, and I didn't feel like I was doing it with somebody that I've just known online. So thank you for
Thank
that.
you.